Little Diary by Hari Soi Prabhu, September 16th, 1976. I am still too weak to do Srila Prabhupada's massage, although I don't feel any real illness and I can attend all the temple functions. I simply have no strength. So that's Hari Soi Prabhu saying. What?
Sorry, I think I put the wrong bookmark.
Oh, you did? Well, it was there, so
Yeah,
did you read this already?
Yes. Sure. So
Oh.
I did until here.
Okay. This is our prayer. It is not our prayer that, oh Krishna, oh Ram, give me some money, give me some woman. No, this is not the prayer. Of course, in the neophyte stage, they can pray like that, but that is not Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotion. Pure devotion means to pray to the Lord, begging some service. My Lord, kindly engage me in your service. That is the perfection of life, when one is engaged in the service to the Lord in love. Actually, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur even says that chanting devoid of longing to serve is useless. So much useless chanting we may have done. And it's useless on the absolute platform because chanting longing to serve, that establishes us in dasya. That cleanses the heart from all other upadis and identifications and establishes us in dasya, in service. So it's very clear if we chant our japa every day for 2 or 2.5 hours, longing to serve, then sooner or later the day will come when we get the point. I am servant. All the designations are cleansed away. That's why it is useless if we chant not longing to serve. In discussing chanting, Prabhupada made a strong and not so veiled reference to Nitai. You can become a very great saint and live in a secluded place and become puffed up that you have become very great personality and people may come to see him, that he is not to be seen. He is engaged in chanting. My Guru Maharaj has condemned this. He said, Mana Tumi Kishara Vaishnava. My dear mind, you mental concoction, you are thinking that you have become a very big Vaishnava. You do not do anything and sit down in a secluded place and imitating Haridas Thakur, chanting. So you are a nonsense. Why? Nirjanera gare patishtara tare. To get some cheap adoration as a great chanter. Because if one is actually chanting, why he should be attracted by woman and bidhi? If he is actually in such position like Haridas Thakur, then why he should be attracted by material things? That is a false show only. That is not possible for ordinary person. Actually, Satchidananda Swami calls this kind of chanting poisonous medicine capsule. When we use the holy name to show off, to pose as an advanced devotee. In Kirtan, this is even more obvious, when we want to bring attention to ourselves, glorify ourselves, oh, my voice and my musical expertise. So that's poisonous capsule. But in japa, it's also going on, Oh, tomorrow Ekadashi, 64 rounds, of course, don't disturb me. posting a picture on Facebook, oh, this is me chanting 64 rounds and so on. So yes, this is poisonous capsule. Therefore, ordinary person must be physically engaged. That is not physical, but that is also transcendental. Always busy in some business of Krishna consciousness. That is wanted. Not that, oh, I have become a great scholar and I have now learned how to become a great Vaishnava. I chant 64 rounds. There you go. And think of my wife somewhere, and then goodbye to Govindaji and leave Vrindavan. We all knew who he was referring to, and there was muted laughter amongst the audience. With an ironic smile, Prabhupada went on, "These rascaldom do not follow Govindaji, drive such rascals away." What? These rascaldom do not follow. Do not follow. Govindaji drives away such rascals from Vrindavan. So Vrindavan, one who is living in Vrindavan, he must be very anxious how to spread the glories of Vrindavan Chandra all over the world. That is wanted. Not that Vrindavan Chandra is my private property and I sit down in a place and lick up. No, that is not wanted. That is condemned by my Guru Maharaj. He says, what kind of Vaishnav, rascal you are? Simply for cheap adoration, you are living in a secluded place. Tava Harinam Kevala Kaitava. Your chanting of so-called Hare Krishna mantra is simply cheating. He has said that one must be ready to preach very vigorously. And that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's also order. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never said that you chant. He has given certainly the chanting, but so far his mission is concerned, he said that every one of you become Guru. Amara Agyara Guru Hana Tara Adesha. And preach that people understand what is Krishna. Prativite Achayata Nagaradi. That is his mission. It is not that becoming a big Vaishnava and sit down and imitate. This is all rascaldom. So don't follow this thing. So at least we cannot advise you in that way. We have learned from our Guru Maharaj that preaching is a very, very important thing. And when one is actually an experienced preacher, then he is able to chant Hare Krishna mantra without any offense. Before that, the so-called chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, you may practice without any offenses. And giving up all other business to make a show of a big Vaishnava, that is not required. Thank you very much. So far, Prabhupada has spoken about Nitai's deviation in private to just a few of us, but his public criticism this morning left no doubt in the devotees' minds what is the real siddhanta and standard of practice. Any comments, questions? Yes.
You mentioned about the chanting. Sometimes we go to chant in these yoga studios, and we're not allowed to speak about the philosophy, basically. But they like the chanting, but when we talk to them, we see that they are totally atheists, or maybe they have some kind of Mayavad conception. So how will it help them if with the chanting? Will it help them? I'm sometimes thinking what is best.
Well, it will help them if the chanter who leads the kirtan chants purely. But very often in these yoga studios, there's also others, who chant the Maha Mantra. I mean, kirtan is becoming a pretty popular thing. There's so many Mayavadis who also chant Hare Krishna and kirtan. But they're not longing to serve, they're not calling out to Krishna as a person, they don't even believe that Krishna is a person. So that kind of chanting is either empty capsule or also poisonous capsule, If the chanter is not turning mindfully to Krishna, calling out feelingly, then it's empty capsule, it's just nice music. So what other chanters do in these yoga studios is definitely empty capsule, if not poisonous capsule. But if we devotees go there and we chant, feelingly calling out to Krishna, that will give some benefit, definitely. And especially if we can distribute some little prasadam afterwards. And even though we cannot give much for philosophy, still we can say some 5-minute thing about the holy name, that it is a transcendental sound, and we don't maybe have to say Krishna. Oh, well, if we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, we may as well talk about Krishna a little bit, that Krishna extends himself into the material world by giving us his holy name. So, and we can connect with the Supreme, full of transcendental energy, because all religious paths have that in common, to re-establish our loving relationship with the Lord. Religion, religere, it's the same meaning as yoga, yog, to connect, So I mean, a little bit of something we can give. And not only in these yoga studios, even in our kirtan melas, sometimes we have 12-hour kirtan mela, but there should be a little bit of talk. Otherwise, people forget, and then it just becomes a whole socializing music thing, enjoying mood, showing off. No, let's remember, what is this chanting all about? Even in our kirtan melas, I have experienced this. How it gets really just some nice music or a passionate thing, So there has to be a little bit of philosophy given every now and again, every 1 or 2 hours, some little 15, 20-minute talk. What is this chanting all about? Just to focus everybody. Yes. All right, shall we move on to the Bhagavatam? So we're reading Canto 6, chapter 15, right? This is also here 14. Oh, here's another one. 15, verse 5. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Somebody did some studying here, underlining with pencil. Some very serious devotee. Okay. Vayam cha tvam chaye me. Vayam cha tvam chaye me. Tuya kalasarachara. Tuya kalasarachara. Janma mityo yatapasat. Janma Mrityu Yata Pasat Pranaivam Aduna Pibo Pranaivam Aduna Pibo Vayam Chatvam Chayete Me Tuya Kalasarachara Janma Mrityu Yata Pasat Pranaivam Aduna Pibo. Somebody chant.
Vayam Chatvam Chaye Cheme
Vayam Chatvam Chaye Cheme
Tuya Kalas Chara Charaha
Tuya Kalas Chara Chara
Janma Mrityu Yata Pasat
Janma Mrityu Yata Pasat
Pranaivam Aduna Pibo
Pranaivam Aduna Pibo
Vayam Chatvam Chaye Cheme
Vayam Chatvam Chaye Cheme
Tuya Kalas Chara Chara
Tuya Kalas Chara Chara
Janma Mrityu Yata Paschat
Janma Mrityu Yata Pasat
Pranaivam Aduna Pibo
Pranaivam Aduna Pibo
Ladies.
Vayam Chatvam Chaye Cheme
Vayam Chatvam Chaye Cheme
Tuya Kalas Chara Chara
Tuya Kalas Chara Chara
Janma Mrityu Yata Pasat
Janma Mrityu Yata Pasat
Pranaivam Aduna Pibo
Pranaivam Aduna Pibo.
You want to chant? You know?
Vayam Chatvam Chaye Cheme
Vayam Chatvam Chaye Cheme
Tuya Kalas Charas Chara
Tuya Kalas Chara Chara
Janma Mrityu Yatha Pashat
Janma Mrityu Yata Pasat
Pranaivam Adhuna Pibo
Pranaivam Aduna Pibo.
Vayam,
Vayam
we, the great sages and the ministers and adherents of the king.
We, the great sages and the ministers and the adherents of the king.
Cha
Cha
and Tvam, you. Cha also. Ye who. Cha also. Ime these. Tulya Kalaha assembled at the same time. Chara achara moving and not moving. Janma birth. Mrityu and death. Yata just as. Pasat after. Prak before. Na not. Evam thus. Aduna at present. Api although. Bhu O king. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O king, both you and us, you advisors, wives and ministers, as well as everything moving and not moving throughout the entire cosmos at this time, are in a temporary situation. Before our birth, this situation did not exist, and after our death, it will exist no longer. Therefore, our situation now is temporary, although it is not false. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Mayavadi philosopher says, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahman, the living being, is factual, but his present bodily situation is false. According to the Vaishnava philosophy, however, the present situation is not false, but temporary. It is like a dream. A dream does not exist before one falls asleep, nor does it continue after one awakens. The period for dreaming exists only between these two, and therefore it is false in the sense that it is impermanent. Similarly, the entire material creation, including our own creation and those of others, is impermanent. We do not lament for the situation in a dream before the dream takes place or after it is over. And so during the dream or during the dream-like situation, one should not accept it as factual and lament about it. This is real knowledge. Very often the last sentence in Prabhupada's purports are always, boom, hitting the nail on their head one more time. Yeah, so throughout the Bhagavatam, we often have this comparison of life in the material world being like a dream. So a dream is also a kind of reality, no doubt. You know, we sometimes laugh or cry in a dream or even walk around in the dream. So it is quite intense experience. It can be, you know. But yet, as soon as we wake up, dream is over, and maybe thank God it was just a dream. So it is a very flickering, illusory reality, but it is some kind of reality, right? And that's really what life in this material world is all about. There's a few other parts in the Bhagavatam where this is expressed. It's 11th canto. It is said, one who is sleeping may see many objects of sense gratification in a dream, but such pleasurable things are merely creations of the mind and are thus ultimately useless. Similarly, the living entity who is asleep to his spiritual identity also sees many sense objects, but these innumerable objects of temporary gratification are creations of the Lord's illusory potency and have no permanent existence. One who meditates upon them, impelled by the senses, uselessly engages his intelligence. Yeah, so quite clear. There's another one, also 11th canto, next chapter. One who is enlightened in self-realization, although living within the material body, sees himself as transcendental to the body, just as one who has arisen from a dream gives up an identification with a dream body, with a dream body. A foolish person, however, although not identical with his material body, but transcendental to it, thinks himself to be situated in the body, just as one who is dreaming sees himself as situated in an imaginary body. So that's also a good comparison, you know. Like sometimes in dreams, I remember as a kid I was sometimes dreaming I could fly. So in a dream you take up some different dream body, you know, and yeah, you may think you can do so many things. So yeah, but it's just a dream, and when we wake up we don't further identify with this dream body. So same way, as we get transcendental knowledge, you know, that's what it means, we waking up from this dream-like existence, and then we also don't identify with this, you know, dreaming condition, with this illusory reality, and then we also don't lament, you know. So this instruction is, of course, given by Narada and Angira Muni to help Chitraketu to get over this whole lamentation he is experiencing, So, and yeah, of course, it's the false ego that entangles us in this whole dreamlike condition. False ego makes us think to be something which we are not. That's the problem, we forget our eternal condition. Jiva Subhava Krishna Nityadas. I'm eternally Krishna's servant. We forget that and we think ourselves to be something else because all these roles we are playing in our life, right? We have so many roles. If we have family, so at home we play one role. Then in our work in the office we play a different role. Then we come to the temple, we play yet a different role. So all these roles, we can compare them like hats we wear. Hat, cap, one for winter, one for summer, one for special occasions, whatever. So, and hopefully we don't identify with these hats. We are just wearing them at certain times. Of course, we can also get to the situation where we identify with a hat if it is a real special and unique one, and we start thinking, this is me and my hat. And then if we lose it, we lost a part of ourselves. But as a rule, we don't identify with these, things we wear, cap, hat. But yeah, false ego makes us identify because these designations, these roles give us a certain sense of importance, of being somebody. And then we identify with them. So it's the false ego that entangles us in this illusory dream world we are living here. Prabhupada in one purport he also gives this nice analogy of life in the material world being like a nonsensical stage performance. Some of you have heard me quoting this before. It's one of my favorites. Nonsensical stage performance. Bezumniszug. Some little Russian I speak. Helping my translators. Yeah, so Bezumniszug, crazy circus. That's really what life in the material world is all about. Every lifetime we can imagine like a stage performance. So this life, Nepali man. I have so many important things to do, busy, so many ambitions and plans, running. So then death comes, curtain closes, show is over. And the next life, woman's body in Germany, if you are unlucky. And again, running, so many important things, busy. I'm so busy, so many big plans. And then again, show is over, curtain closes. The next life, dog in Sweden. They're especially lucky there, the dogs in Sweden get pampered. And dog also has dog's intelligence, dog's mind, dog's false ego. Dogs have a strong false ego, my God. Barking, this is my property, get out of here, ooh. I'm so busy, so important, I have to protect this place. So lifetime after lifetime, nonsensical stage performance. I mean, Prabhupada's choice of words, how he combines the words is often very unique and special. So even that is a good reason for everybody to learn English, actually. Just to relish Prabhupada's word combinations. Because every time you translate, you lose that sweetness, you know? I mean, when you read the Bhagavatam in German, I find it pretty strange, to be honest. It all sounds pretty strange to me. And I'm not sure how they translate nonsensical stage performance in German, you know. I don't even want to know because it sounds probably very unusual. But English, Prabhupada's English, very special. So, yeah, so good to remember at the moment of death, all these things which are now so important, so dear to us, at that moment, no significance. You know, the show is over. Yes. I once heard the story of a man, I think he was not even a devotee. He was just about to leave his body, and his relatives, friends were around him. You know, in last phase you can't talk anymore. You don't have the strength to talk, because talking actually takes quite some energy and strength. But he still wanted to give some message to his relatives. So he wrote on a piece of paper, "It's all an illusion." That was his last realization. It's all an illusion. You know? Yes. So these insights we get at the last, very last stage before leaving, you know, we realize, oh my God. And there may be some lamentation. Oh, I blew it again. You know, I gave so much importance to all the different things, all the nonsensical stage performance. I blew it. I missed the whole point of life. You know, the real thing, which I should have given importance, I didn't give enough attention to, namely my relationship with Krishna. Yes. So that's really the only thing we are allowed to keep at that moment. My relationship with Krishna, nothing else. Yes. Yes. Nothing else. Everything else is part of the dreamlike, illusory reality, you know. Yes. Yeah, so death really strips away everything, you know. Yes. Yes. There is a nice statement also somewhere in the Bhagavatam, I believe. Yeah, 11th canto. It says there, just as food is the life of all creatures, just as I am the ultimate shelter for the distressed, and just as religion is the wealth of those who are passing away from this world, so my devotees are the only refuge of persons fearful of falling into a miserable condition of life. Yeah, so I really like this. Just as religion is the wealth of those who are passing away from this world, you know. So religion, our relationship with Krishna, that is eternal wealth. That's real wealth. We should invest in that, you know, because all other things, you know, all our big bank accounts and house and all paying off the mortgage and this and that, it will be all part of the crazy circus here. No significance. Who cares at the moment of death? How big our house is and whether we paid it off or not, and this and that and this and that, you know. Our only wealth is our relationship with Krishna. And that's eternal reality. I think it's also Bhakti who says, actually, the only thing that our reality in this world is the jiva. You know, the soul is eternal, and the holy name. Jiva and the holy name, that's the only reality. Nothing else, you know. I remember sometimes in my seminars, especially when I talk about the false ego and all that, then people often say, but Mataji, in the real world, it's like this and this. And I usually say, hang on, what's the real world? You mean the nonsensical stage performance? You call that the real world? Or do you mean, can we extinguish the incense? Is it extinguished? It is, okay. Yeah, my voice is so sensitive. Yeah, so I usually stop them and immediately ask, what's the real world for you? You mean the nonsensical stage performance? Or do you mean my relationship with Krishna and what's happening in the spiritual world? Do you mean that to be the real world? Yes. So, and I guess this is what Krishna consciousness is all about. That we have to transform our sense of reality, right? So when we newly come to a Krishna consciousness, we take the crazy circus to be reality, right? The nonsensical stage performance, that's reality. And okay, this Krishna consciousness, that's kind of some dreaming, illusory thing there, and we're not quite sure is it true or not and all this. So, and then as we seriously practice, then, my relationship with Krishna has to become actual reality. So it's a whole transformational process, that we are established in that reality. That's the real life for us. And all right, the nonsensical stage performance, somehow we have to function in it. We do have a material body, so we go through the motions, we play the whole drama there, we do our little exams and this and that and whatever, But we realize, no, this is not actual reality. It's just part of the nonsensical stage performance, where we somehow have to function while we are here. But actual life is, my relationship with Krishna, with Guru, with Prabhupada, with the devotees. That's real life and reality. Yes. So that we have to come to, And there was also one nice little episode when Prabhupada was traveling on the plane with some of his disciples. In the former times, they used to distribute some magazines and newspapers on the plane. Now they don't even do that anymore because it's all there on the internet. And the devotees were reading the Time magazine, which is known to be a very good and critical magazine. So Prabhupada said, let me have a look at this Time magazine. And he was flicking through the pages, And then he gave it back to the devotees and said, actually, devotees should not read this. And then he made this profound statement. He was saying, it makes this world look so real. It makes this world look so real. And that's exactly what it is, So, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he includes reading the news in prajalpa. It's one form of prajalpa. He discusses this topic in the book Bhakti. Prajalpa, for those who don't know, it means mundane, useless talk which is not connected to Krishna. And it should be avoided because it creates an obstacle in our devotional life. So, news, being too much absorbed in reading up on all the latest things that are happening and this election and that war and, this and that and so many things. I mean, of course, something we may have to know, depending on our position and devotion and Krishna consciousness. If we are manager, we have to know a little bit what's going on in the world. or according to our work, we may have to know something. But usually it's enough just to look at the headlines, then you already know enough. So, but sometimes people spend 2-3 hours every day just studying up on this website, that website, what's happening, and So, yeah, then we take this nonsensical stage performance as reality. Then we think the real problem of life is, that this person again became the president, and that reform has to be done, and the pension reform, and this thing and that thing, and whatever they all discuss there. So then we think that's the real issue of life, and then we take this world as being so real. And Prabhupada was always saying, in the way, just like there's newspapers every day coming out, or not now, people don't even read the newspaper anymore. So Prabhupada was saying we could produce a newspaper every day about the spiritual world, what's happening there, what Krishna is doing now, and what Krishna takes for breakfast, and so we could produce so many newspapers every day, just giving the news from the spiritual world. Yeah, so that's why it's good not to get too absorbed in these topics, because it makes this world look so real. Yes, and I mean, death is definitely a challenge where we are tested, Which reality are we hanging on to? And what relationship is the most important to us? Like Krishna says, so if we remember Krishna alone, then we can surely come to him. But to remember Krishna alone, not so easy. So we are tested which relationship is most important to us at that moment of death. Is it Krishna? Or my parents, my wife, my husband, my dog, my grandchild, or even the other devotees. Yes, we have to even let go of our friendships. Yes, it's not so easy. In July, I spent 3 weeks in Mayapur with one Mataji who was just about to leave her body. And one realization struck me, how this mobile phone binds us so much to life in the material world. People are so attached to the mobile phone. And people have the phone in their bed with them until the moment of death. In the middle of the night, checking, answering messages. Yes. So as long as we can't switch off the phone, we cannot leave. We're hanging on to this life in the material world, this nonsensical stage performance. Yes, because to leave, we have to extricate ourselves. We have to withdraw. Like even the animals, like cows or elephants, animals who live in herds, they always leave the herd. They die alone in the forest somewhere. They don't stay surrounded by the other members of the herd. They leave. And the herd also knows and moves on. They don't hang around, elephants are pretty smart animals, So if an elephant is in some danger, then they hang around and try to save that personality, that elephant. But then if it looks hopeless, then they go, And when an elephant leaves the herd and dies, they don't run after him, they leave him behind, they know. So we human beings also, we have to, withdraw. Absolutely necessary. Otherwise we can't leave. We can't leave. Yes. We have to extricate ourselves. And this mobile phone can be a curse. I'm so glad I live without one. I don't have a phone. I travel the whole world without a phone. Of course, computer is there, but I hope I won't have problems switching off the computer and say, so it's enough now. Show is over. Yes, but yeah, I witnessed that there in Mayapur, this mobile phone is really... And then Mataji was often saying, well, I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to leave. I said to her, as long as you don't switch off your phone, you're not ready to leave. You're not. No matter how much I begged her to just switch it off, let go, she wouldn't. Yeah, so, there's a few things to learn there, how to really, close the show here of the dreaming reality, and really be established in eternal reality, All right, let's see if we have some questions, some comments.
Just on that comment, but that's really difficult because the association with devotees is of course very, very important within us. But then, in the last moments, I hope a lot of devotees will sit around in the bath too. But then it's really a big
This is
problem.
not a good way to leave.
But that's really a big problem.
Yeah. No. I mean, we have examples. Kadambakana Maharaj left recently, also when Bhakti Tirtha Swami left years ago. It's actually a very natural thing. If you're a little detached, that you don't want to have all these people around anymore. No, you don't want. I mean, even both of my parents, I was with them for the last week, 10 days. I kept them at home, took care of them, also physically and everything, Yes, so usually it's a very natural journey that you get tired of it. You don't want to have all these people around you. So, and I'm just writing now my next book, Vanapasa Ashram, Meeting Death with Joy. There's 2 chapters just on death, yes, and also how to accompany somebody in death. It's a very important service. So usually it's recommended just to have a very small circle of caregivers, just 1, 2, maximum 3 people, And Kadambakana Swami also, he didn't want any more women around him. I had not thought of this, but when I heard that, I thought, okay, Jai, I'm going to remember that one. No more men around me. Yes. Yeah, Kadambakana Maharaj also had a very small group of caregivers. Yes. And you have to carefully choose them. I experienced that too, there in Mayapur. If you have the wrong people around you who want you to stay, yes, it can extend the whole struggle, Yes, so I don't want any sentimental, emotional people around me who say, oh, maybe you should do a CT scan, and maybe you need a few more vitamins. And no, get out. Yes. But some people are so emotional, and then they don't want you to leave. They don't want to let go. So when you accompany somebody, it's a very fine line of being there for you and give support, but also, give them space to withdraw. Yeah, very important. You don't want to cling on to people. I mean, when my father left, just a couple hours before, he was stretching out his hand towards me, saying, "Oh, my dear," and he said my nickname, which my parents called me as a child, so I'm not going to tell you, otherwise you're going to call me like this now. So he said, "Oh, my dear," such and such and such. But what did I do? I did not take the hand. I was standing there, but I did not take it. I let it drop back into the pillow, And somebody may say, "Oh, how cool, she's not taking the hand of her dying father," No, I wanted to, give him the message, you have to go yourself, Yes, dying we have to do all by ourselves. We have to fly our own plane, So, "Oh yeah, my dear dad," holding his hand. Not a good idea. Yes. So sometimes I also read these announcements somewhere on different ISKCON websites. "Oh, such and such Prabhu left his body, surrounded by his family members." And I'm thinking, oh my God, not a very auspicious way to leave. We want to remember Krishna alone. But how can you remember Krishna alone if your family members are all sitting around your bed there, Family attachment so deep. There's one purport where Prabhupada says, a glorious death is when we leave and our relatives don't even know. That's a glorious death. Yes. They don't even know that we are leaving. And not when they're all sitting around the bed there. Even if they're devotees, it's still binding. Still binding. Even the care ideally should not be given by family members. Maybe if the, parents, for example, if they're not devotees, so that's why I took care of my parents, to try and guide them and focus their minds and all that, because they were not practicing devotees as such. So for non-devotees, it's beneficial to have a devotee there. But, for devotees, not so good to be taken care of by family members, because the family relationships are so deep. Again, very easily we become too attached, too dependent on them. And family relationships are often difficult because of the emotional connection and the expectations and demands and all that. So better to be taken care of by other devotees, and devotees who are really philosophically strong and spiritually strong, or who can really guide us towards leaving, and not towards staying longer. Yes. Yeah, it's such an important service, Yes, I'm thinking once when the time comes and I'm not traveling so much anymore, I want to concentrate more on that. Maybe even take a course, do a course on hospice care or something to learn a bit more. And because also I have some medical background, which is also really required when you take care of a person, how to put them, that they don't get bed sores and this and that. And, it's helpful if you have some little medical understanding, Very important service. What's the use of all our preaching and everything if in that crucial last phase we are not there for devotees and we help them? That's why I especially flew in July to Mayapur, even though this is not my time to be in Mayapur usually. But I knew this Mataji for 35 years or something, so I wanted to try and help her and assist her, Yes. Yeah, so throughout our whole life we need good association, and we have to choose, whose association to take in a more intimate way, and especially at that last phase. We have to really make sure we have the people around us. So many things to consider. Anything else? Yes.
Wenn der Name von den Kindern zum Beispiel, Child, Narayana oder Krishna, dann sollte vielleicht doch noch dabei sein.
No, don't think so. She's saying if the name of the children is Krishna and Narayan, maybe they should be there. No, why should they? Then you think, oh yes, Krishna, my child. Oh, unfortunately, I didn't see how he got married. Oh, and then I have to come back just to see that, how he gets married. So Krishna is Krishna, better look at a picture of Krishna, rather than your son. Family attachment is so deep, so strong, better not to have any family members close, All right, they can be in the background, invisible, just giving support or something, But if they're around the bed, and also another thing I've seen many times, while a very dear person sits right next to your bed, impossible for the person to leave. Impossible. It's binding. Even when Guru sits next to the bed. How can you leave if your Guru Maharaj sits there? Yes. How can you leave? And then so often it happens like that. When all those who sit around the bed, when they get tired, when they want to have a sleep, when they take bath, or they're hungry, they have to eat something, so they walk out, then the person sneaks off and leaves their body. They take the opportunity when people are not there, and then, finally I can go. Good to remember, because if we don't know these things, we think we do the person a favor of being right there, holding their hand, even spiritual master, But if he's there, person cannot leave. Yes, I've seen it quite a few times. And then as soon as he leaves, person leaves. Yes. Okay, thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Ganta Chimad Bhagavatam ki, Sama Vedavakta ki, Gauradesh.